Well, hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Except that I'm not sure exactly where Joe is at the moment. So he didn't tell me he wasn't coming on. So I'm just assuming that he's just a little bit late to the computer screen. And we're going to get started tonight. Things are winding down with that major winter storm that we had out in the Rockies, and it really did play out according to plan. I think overall, uh, I want to bring up. I'm going to bring up the snowfall map itself in just a little bit. But just give me a moment here because I'm going to try and load up um, a couple of maps that was sent to me by Ruthless Goat, who up in Loveland, uh, Colorado. He said he had about every bit of 4 or 5 inches there, and in terms of the stats with this, it really there's a lot here that occurred that is pretty awesome as far as the uh, temperature drops and a few other things. And one of the things that stood out to me was the fact that in terms of some of the numbers, we were looking at the temperature drop, for example, from the 100 degree high on September the 6th and the 96 degree high on the 7th. But the temperature from that peak of 100 bottomed at 31 this morning. And we had all sorts of record lows and all-time record lows and snowfall records that went by the board. Some places got their first earliest snows ever. So it was really just a very impressive system in my view. And let's get Mr. Rayo on board here because I just saw that he has popped in on the screen. So let's just get that there. And he will be with us momentarily here. So that now it is a Joe and Joe weather show. Welcome to the Joe and Joe weather show, Joe.
Hello.
Hi, we're on the air.
I
So this
know.
is where you're supposed to say, like Fred Mertz, hello out there in TV land. No?
Hi.
Okay, we're in a good mood. All right. So I was just starting with the whole storm in the Rockies. Ruthless Goat sent me, among other things, for records here. Boulder, Colorado, record earliest first freeze and snowfall. Boulder, a record high of 99 on Sunday, and that's the latest that they've ever seen 99 degrees or hotter for that city. 2 days later, the city picked up its earliest measurable snow on record and set a new record for the earliest freeze. The earliest snowfall on record for Fort Collins, Colorado, picked up 2.3 inches of snow from this, and a record earliest for the city. The previous record was beat by 4 days. The old record was September 12th. And finally, on September the 7th, Las Animas reported a high temperature of 106, which was the hottest temperature for the state on that day. On September 8th, um, Leadville reported a low of 18 as the coldest for the state on that day. So huge, just incredible extremes uh, that with these records were set. Denver, I think got a couple of inches of snow at the airport. So it was, it pretty much I think played according to plan.
And just a few hundred miles to the west, the western states, Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, all burning up.
Yeah, I mean
Lots
it's
of,
really amazing. It's really
it's now
astounding.
gotten to the point, Joe, it's gotten to be so bad now that in places like San Francisco, for example, the sky today looked like the sky that you would see if you were on the planet Mars.
I
A
mean,
deep orange, red. You probably could look at the sun directly with your eye without any need of a filter at midday. And in other areas of the fire zone, parts of Oregon, They said it was almost like nighttime.
Yeah,
So
and we have a friend of mine has a friend that he spoke to today, and she said that they have to run the air conditioner in order to breathe, because if they don't run the air conditioner, to filter out the air to an extent, you're not able to breathe. That's how bad it is with respect to the fires out there. It's a shame.
T Snowy 23 on the chat board. I haven't had a chance to really look at a lot of things today, but he said it's cloudy at 70 in Binghamton and 60 miles to the north in Syracuse. It's 90 and sunny.
Well, they had sun all day.
Yeah.
I was up in that part of New York State in September. When you get days like this with these sort of upside down days because of where the cloud line was and all the clouds here along the coast. I mean, I didn't get out of the 70s today at all. And yeah, you go upstate, you get a day like this when you're in a warm air mass, and there was that narrow wedge of clear skies across western PA and up into upstate New York. Thermometers got no place to go. They're waiting for a cold front to come through, so until it does, they're in the warm air. So yeah, not a shocker at all.
Yeah.
Just a lot of, and then there was an earthquake in New Jersey last night.
Near Freehold. I have an uncle who lives near Freehold. I never got a chance to call him, but then it was at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's 84 years old, and Lord only knows if he even felt it at that particular hour.
I was going to make a joke, but I'm just going to leave it there. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay. All right. So let's go to this. Let's go to the snow map. I just bring
Okay.
up the
How many times have you said that on September the 9th, right?
Oh, I know. Isn't that something? This is this is the snowfall through this morning, so there might actually be a little bit more in some places, but the areas in dark blue, that's 4 inches. The darkest blue is 4 inches, and then the next the lightest what is that light beige, I guess, that's 6, and the red areas are 18. So we actually have a stripe of 18 inches and a couple of little dots of 18 inches showing up on the map. As I said, Denver got about 2 inches at the airport, and Loveland, which is where Ruthless Goat is, he said he had every bit of 4 to 5. So the snow area certainly did play out well. And now, of course, this system is winding down, Mr. Rayo. There's very little left in terms of any kind of winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories. You can see there's a small patch there going on in Colorado. We got red flag warnings up from western Washington and Oregon, and then down through the interior of California. So it's bone dry there. At least the intense heat that they had last week, that seems to have leveled off now. We have flash flood watches up, by the way, from eastern Virginia up through Maryland, southeastern Pennsylvania, and parts of western and this is where I always have difficulty. There's a handful of counties in the southern part of the northern half of New Jersey. I guess that's the best way to put it. We have flash flood watches up for a few counties in New Jersey, and again in southeast PA down into Maryland. Some of this area was raining for a good part of the day today, and the rain even made it into parts of South Jersey and coastal Jersey for a little while. But I'm thinking, Mr. Rayo, that we could wind up with we've got this ocean moisture coming in. We've got this weather front that's going to start moving and pressing in from the northwest. So we may actually, some areas may actually squeeze out a decent amount of rain between the two of them, between the two of those areas, late tonight into tomorrow night.
It's a quasi-stationary front offshore. You have an approaching cold front, which may supply some convection during the day tomorrow. And yeah, I think it's going to be more of a factor as to who gets what in terms of any potential convective activity. And on average, I'd say Hudson Valley, northern New Jersey, Long Island, maybe a quarter to a half an inch. And in some spots, there may be some locally higher amounts, and especially as you go to the south and to the west, which I guess was why the flood watches have been put up for parts of central and southern New Jersey. But this has nothing to do, Joe, with the area of disturbed weather offshore that they've been hinting that might turn tropical. In fact, if anything, I think they've lowered the probability on that.
Right, so 30 and
Just
30. I have the surface map up now so you can actually see what you described, the frontal boundary, the stationary front that looks to be weakening along the coastline, and then the other stationary frontal boundary that's in upstate New York and across northern Ohio and northern Indiana, and we're still kind of sandwiched in between the two of them. I swear this surface map has looked the same way for the last 3 days.
right, right, and the same fair weather ridge of high pressure that gave us great weather for the past weekend, now working a bit against us by turning those winds into an onshore direction, which is helping to supply the increase in moisture. I do notice that on the WPC, the Weather Prediction Center's QPF map for the next 24 hours,
Oh, let me
they
find it. Hold on.
that they actually have a stripe of purple that extends from about New York City south and west through central New Jersey down to Philadelphia, almost like from Washington, Baltimore on up to New York, and that seems to indicate maybe as much as 2 inches of rain. But further to the north, it quickly drops off. Here in the Hudson Valley, it looks like it's more like maybe an inch and a quarter, and further north of that, it may be even less than that. So again, it depends upon where you are, but if you're in places, let's say south and west of New York City, that's where the area or the zone of possible heavy weather may be in terms of precipitation over these next 24 to 36 hours.
Well, I'm looking. I got the 7 day map, which is going to include whatever happens on not just whatever happens tomorrow, but whatever happens on Sunday. Which, when I was looking at some of the models this afternoon, with this, there's there's going to be almost a warm front that's going to push northward on Saturday night into Sunday, and the models seem to be getting a little more robust and bullish with showers for Sunday. If you look at the GFS, you can almost make a case that it wipes out the whole day. But WPC on their 7 day rainfall, so this for tomorrow and for Sunday, they actually have a stripe of 3 to 5 inch rains from eastern Virginia all the way up to New York City and the lower Hudson Valley to about Long Island from between the two systems. The only thing I would say about tomorrow is that the dew points are going to be high. To me, that tomorrow strikes. To me, it looks like that if we do get convection, it might be the type that produces heavy downpours and not necessarily thunderstorms or severe weather. But I could see some places tomorrow getting one of those, getting into a couple of heavier downpours that puts down a fair amount of rain over a short period of time because of the advection that's coming in off the Atlantic. There's a lot of tropical moisture that's coming in from the east and southeast here with the onshore flow.
Right. Well, we're going to have, I think, two bouts. One for tomorrow into tomorrow night, and then the next bout of wet weather will come during Sunday into Sunday night, ending early on Monday. And indeed, depending upon the flow of the winds, whether or not we get any significant convection between those two shots of precipitation, Joe, I wouldn't doubt that we could see in parts of the tri-state area, 3 to as much as 5 inches of rain. But then again, there could be other spouts that don't get quite that much. But in any case, if you're looking for rain, it looks like tomorrow's going to be your day and Sunday's going to be your day.
I got the satellite loop up. I just want to go back to the what's going on in the west because I'm just noticing here. This is now. We're looking at 4:15 in the afternoon. This is all smoke. This has got to be mostly smoke because it can't possibly be ocean low clouds that are all the way inland into the west into the eastern parts of California. I mean, this is solid stuff here that runs from western Oregon down through coastal California and areas inland up and down the state. I mean, that's just so impressive. And sad really with what's going on, and of course it doesn't help the way the upper trough that's out to the east of it. It's look how bone dry it is across Montana, North Dakota, back
that's
to
the killer.
yeah. I mean,
That's
there's no way for any weather system to come in and even a remote chance that you could just kind of blow the stuff out of there and bring in some rain. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not, and I mean, that's why I noted at the onset when I got on here is the fact that in one sector you've got heat and all of that smoke and the dry weather and devastation, and just a few hundred miles away to the east, you've got unseasonably cold and snowy weather.
Yep.
It's really quite a dichotomy, if I may use a $5 word.
You may. We're having some inflation, so we can make it a $5.99 word. We looking at the loop, Joe. Two conveyor belts. What's really interesting to me is if you could almost draw two perfect straight lines on the southern edge and the northern edge of this cloud line, and I mean that's how rigid everything looks in the atmosphere here. And let's see if I can get this to work. But let's see. Oh, I'm trying. It won't let me. All right. Well, no matter. Hold on.
I'm looking at the smoke map, by the way, from NOAA, and it is particularly thick smoke right along the immediate coastal plain of the Pacific, all the way down through California, and even into extreme southern sections of Arizona and New Mexico.
Yes.
And there's more of a broad area of lighter smoke, which extends inland across Nevada, Utah, most of Arizona, most of New Mexico. And then there's another flare up of smoke and also lots of wildfires over in Indiana, in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and a broad area of smoke which reaches all the way up into the lower Great Lakes. So
I'm going to bring up the actual Pacific shot here.
The country is burning up.
Let me bring up a better image that fills the screen a bit. Hang on one second here. So we'll bring up the Pacific coast. I'll open up all channels, and we'll put up the animated. No, that's not what I wanted to do. No, 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 no. I wanted to do this. There we go. Now we'll get it up on this screen. Take a look at this on the tight shot. You can actually see where the flare-ups are. Look at that. That's incredible. Watch from the beginning. You see it right there. That's pretty much. You see the rotation to the east of the storm in Colorado. That is all fire stuff. The fires in Oregon, that smoke is blowing westward. Okay, and then you've got blow off from some fires further south. I guess in California, those are moving southeastward. And somewhere in here, there's actually some cloud cover that's offshore. I mean, it's just so bizarre. Look at that on the close-up. Wow, that's impressive. That is impressive. And then you see the smoke goes down. Those are not high clouds, folks. So that's actually smoke that you're seeing. That sort of lighter shading over Baja California, Southern California, and then it curls around into Mexico. That's all from the fires. I mean, this is really amazing.
It is, and as I said, it's if you ever wanted to know what it looks like if you were to land on the planet Mars, on Mars the sky is mostly kind of an orange red, and that's exactly the kind of sky that they were seeing today in places like San Francisco and Oakland and much of Northern California because of all of that smoke.
You know, just for laughs here, I want to just check something. Let's go to. Just want to look at San Francisco. I'm going to bring up their just to see what their observation is. So they were 59. Okay, so here we are. You mentioned yesterday it's 4:20 in the afternoon in downtown San Francisco, where it hit 100 the other day. Now this is because of the wind probably coming in off the water to an extent. 59, and you can't see anything because of the haze.
Right.
Now they do actually start to get they take it out of the forecast after tomorrow. So I don't know if there's I haven't really looked at it close up, but they're talking about widespread haze, areas of smoke, increasing clouds tonight, widespread haze, areas of smoke before 11, and then gradual clearing after that. So I don't know if there's some kind of upper air wind shift that's going to be going on to maybe blow some of that stuff out of there, but no matter. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Meanwhile, let's go to the east, where and actually, just speaking of that, Joe, just going back to the satellite, you do have essentially the two conveyor belts where you've got the trough in the west, and this southwest flow that runs up from there to the Great Lakes, and it really hasn't moved from yesterday. And in the meantime, because of the onshore flow, you just got this sort of second area of a south to southwest flow aloft that's pulling up all this ocean disturbed weather. And overnight and this morning, we saw all the clouds back in westward. And now the next thing is with regards to the rain, because there is actually a fairly large area of rain just off the Delaware coast and off the coast of North Carolina and Virginia that's moving northwestward. So it remains to be seen if that holds together. But if it does, that rain's going to be spreading northward during the overnight, and there might be some of that rain around tomorrow morning in places from eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England.
Right, and that is not, repeat, that is not the area that they were, I think, looking at
No,
the Hurricane Center.
The area, Joe, actually, where there's a low, there's a 1013 low that's been analyzed, and that low actually sits right about there, in between some of the clouds and convection that's down to the southeast of the Bahamas, and the rain that's expanding out off the North Carolina, Virginia coast. There's a little bit of shower and storm activity in and around where the low center is analyzed, but it's very disorganized, and I would think that it's probably a long shot for this to develop into anything over the next couple of days. So they kept it up at 30%, and I think that's probably fair. We've seen stuff spin up at the last minute, but this one's got a lot of work to do in order for tropical cyclone formation to occur.
Yeah, it looks like if we're going to get a Sally, it's not going to come from that system. It'll probably come from the next wave that is off of Africa, or is going to be moving off Africa, which I guess we'll be looking at in a few moments.
In fact, even as we speak, I've brought up the NCEP's having problems since last night. So a lot of the
a lot of this guidance
is late.
On tropical tidbits, was late today.
Yeah, that's an NCEP problem that's going on. The 12Z just finished up at about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I think the 18Z might have started on time, but I'll take a look at that. But one thing that I noticed, and I'm gonna run this really, really fast, but everybody, if you watch what's going on across back in the United States, and particularly across Canada up to Greenland, you'll just notice that it's like a racetrack here. Everything is moving. I'm just running it backwards, but just to show you how progressive the pattern is, everything is rapidly moving from west to east in the flow over the next couple of weeks. There's no blocking at all, and this is going to mean changes in the weather coming every 3 or 4 days, with weather fronts going through, cool highs behind the front, warms up a bit ahead of it. And as far as the tropical systems are concerned, it appears, and the Hurricane Center's forecast is going along with the idea that Paulette may make a close pass to Bermuda sometime Sunday night or Monday before it makes a turn. It might make it very close to 70 degrees west before it makes the turn, but there is a cold front that's coming on Sunday, and you can see it here. This is early Monday morning, and that moves offshore. There's an upper trough that's going to be swinging through here, so Paulette's going to get caught up in that trough and then eventually just turn northward and then get kicked away to the northeast as higher pressures build down into New England. So Bermuda might be in line. Rene behind it. I love this. They're moving. They're moving almost parallel to they're parallel to each other, and then at this point, Paulette goes one way, and Rene goes the other way.
Right.
And actually, Rene winds up just kind of getting absorbed eventually by Paulette on this run, and then you see Sally there is the next wave that's coming off the coast, and the GFS does develop this into a hurricane as it moves west and then turns northward before it even reaches the leewards. Then it goes back westward, and then it turns northward again. So, th-
Goodbye.
yes, exactly. That's far enough. That's far enough out into the long ranges. There's going to be a lot of variability still in the models anyway. And there's yet another one just south of there that looks like it wants to go west toward the Caribbean. I don't know. I'm still very confused as to how these are all specifically going to play out. And just the latest advisory, Paulette is at 20.5 and 47.4. Top winds are 60 miles an hour. Really hasn't changed very much today, moving west northwest at 10. Rene, which became a tropical depression last night, didn't look so good when we did our show last night, and then strengthened back into a tropical storm. Top winds are still only 40 miles an hour. And I think that has to do with the fact that the ocean water temperatures where Rene is are kind of marginal. The warmer water lies just to the west. Once it gets into that, it'll probably strengthen a little bit. And they actually have it going to a hurricane again. First, it was going to happen on Thursday. Now they've pushed it back to early Saturday morning for one period, only to send it back down as a tropical storm as it turns northwest and north-northwestward. This is a fish storm no matter what. So there's no point in getting too worked up with it. And on the last outlook at 2 p.m. from the Hurricane Center, for the next wave moving off, a 50% chance of tropical storm formation in 48 hours and an 80% chance in 5 days. And they mentioned the fact that this could become a tropical depression or a tropical storm as soon as it gets its feet wet when it moves off the African coast early tomorrow morning.
Right, right. I would just also think we should point out, Joe, that, and I'm sure everybody on watching right now knows this, but for the few who don't, it's not all women out there. Renee happens to be
It's a boys, Renee.
will be the boys' version of Renee.
Right.
So um,
And on the loop, both systems seem to be holding their own, and you can see the big wave also now coming off the African coast. So there's the three of them, and then there's the disturbed weather that's east of the Bahamas and off the southeast coast. That's very disorganized. But tropics remain active, but it's very interesting, Joe. Uh, we're almost up to the S storm, and we've only had three hurricanes, which is would have surprised me if you said that we would have had an active season like we're having, and that we've only would have had three hurricanes and one major up until this point. I would have taken the other side of that trade. But for some reason, these things are not strengthening.
well, we still have, I think, half a season left. The peak, of course, is September the 10th, and that is tomorrow. So we'll see what happens between tomorrow and the middle part of October. Still a lot of activity, I think, yet to go through.
All right, so let's bring up the U.S. map. And the folks that are watching from the Rockies that may be buried in snow will be happy to know that if they don't bother to shovel it, it'll be gone in a day or two anyway. So, and by the time they get through the weekend, you'll be back up into the 80s. But no matter. And of course, here we go with our situation here. Let me just roll it back. See a little bit of rain on the GFS. There actually is quite a bit of rain tonight from Texas. It's on the radar. I neglected to show you, but there's heavy rains being drawn northward. Now, this is all on the east side of that Rocky storm. Heavy rains through much of Oklahoma into Kansas, and then it kind of swings northeastward with more rain, heavy rains going on in parts of Wisconsin and on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So this storm system bringing wet weather, but it would have been better if we could have found a way to bring the wet weather to where the fires are out in the west. But just kind of looking ahead at this, we get whatever we get for tomorrow, and you see the showers that occur. The rains from being generated by the Rocky system actually pretty much fall apart. So it's really all about the ocean moisture for tomorrow, and then a front that's going to be pressing in a bit, and it enhances some of those that area of rain with maybe a thunderstorm or two tomorrow evening and into the first part of tomorrow night before finally it's gone by Friday morning. We get a high that tries to build down, probably has moderate success, but it's going to give way. Here comes a warm front back up on Sunday, and the GFS, as I said, Joe, is pretty loaded here with showers and a few thunderstorms for Sunday until a front passes. and then another high builds in, and we kind of go through the process again. Only this time around, it looks like the high's a little bit further to the south, and you can see Paulette on the 12Z run, which makes it almost to 70 degrees west, almost but not quite to 70 degrees west there, passing southwest of Bermuda and passing then again very close to Bermuda before it moves away to the northeast. But you believe this, we're going to actually have a fairly quiet week next week, which,
I think Tuesday will be verging on almost autumnal, at least up here in the Hudson Valley. I could see temperatures on Tuesday, despite bright sunshine and despite deep blue skies. Temperatures on Tuesday in the Hudson Valley may struggle just to make it much above 70, with nighttime lows probably peak dropping down to or even below 50, maybe only in the 40s. So a touch of fall, I think, will be in the air by Tuesday, and then another nice day coming in on Wednesday. So if you have a few days off next week, especially early next week, I think you've hit pay dirt. It looks like some very nice weather.
some dew point relief, by the way, coming for Friday into Saturday here in the Northeast down to the northern mid Atlantic with that high to the north. And then it pulls out. And then, as you said, Joe, you've got dew points that are going to be getting down into the 30s here come next Tuesday. Uh, that's a nice push of cool air that's coming down from Canada, and that eventually gives way into with another weather front. And just looking at, I just pulled up the 18Z, the 18Z GFS, and let's see what it does with respect to these showers and storms. It's still showing them up for tomorrow into tomorrow night. Um, just offshore Friday morning, your high builds in, and then showers and storms coming in for Sunday. There's a lot of missing maps here on this sequence, but the bottom line is, folks, we've got this west to very fast flow west to east, especially across Canada, and that's going to be dragging cold fronts through. If we take a look at it from the perspective of the upper air, you can watch this all play out here with these troughs lifting up and out, and then you just kind of have this west to east flow. And then I'm looking at the long range. Looks like there's on this particular run, Joe, it brings what might be Sally now through the Leeward Islands, over the Dominican Republic, coming out the other side and heading for South Florida. So with a deep trough beginning to drop down into the plain states. So that is 12 days from now. So
If you want to believe
if you
that.
want to believe it, which we don't, because that would require us to do additional work. And right now, I'm sensing that you're not in the mood for it, and I'm not in the mood for it.
Actually, there was an article I posted it on Facebook about long range forecasting and how it's more or less you think about it, it's so difficult to do because there's so many variables that go into it, and even the theory about chaos,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. Uh, so you're trying to look at stuff, especially in a pattern like this, much beyond 5 days. It's almost like useless. So
I don't quite understand. I mean, I've already seen people. I've already seen a few people on posts. They've already thrown out the entire all of this coming winter for the Northeast, for the coastal Northeast. It's not even here yet. It's not even fall yet. How could you
yeah,
look? I cannot for the life of me grasp looking at weather in that fashion. You have it all. Apparently, they have it all figured out. They just have it all figured out. They know. Okay.
if you look, as I said before, if you just want to look at it statistically at the numbers at Central Park, in those 4 or 5 years out of 160, I guess, right? I've lost count already. Going back to 1869,
Mm-hmm.
in the 4 or 5 winters that we've had a paucity of snowfall, let's say less than 5 inches, the very next winter that came after those kind of winters, we got hit pretty hard. And if you want to go along that line, get ready because we could
All
get
right.
hit pretty hard. If
Look,
you
unless it's a stretch like we had from 96, 97 to 97, 98, 98, 99, and 99, 2000, those four those 4 winters where the snowfall along the coast was virtually non-existent was one of the rare times that you had to put together 4 in a row. I mean, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that it has to it should be more than the prior 2 winters. Okay,
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine that it would be less. Not impossible, but it would be hard to imagine. So I think that's, to me, that is as far as I'm going to go with regards to the long range, because I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my time anymore putting in so much energy and looking at this thing, that thing, the other thing. This oscillation, that oscillation, this snow cover, that snow cover, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, only to find out that the polar vortex in the stratosphere will control everything anyway. So I'm just gonna, whatever happens happens. Let's get there. We'll enjoy the ride getting there and all the fun things that will happen in between.
You can't beat though what I mean. Like I've been up here now, is 18 years I've been here, and last winter, only 4 times that I have to break out the snowblower, and I ended up with a grand total for the winter season of 11 inches of snow. Believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
that was that one storm in December, kicked off the month of December, December 1st of last year, where there were parts of the Hudson Valley, right across the river, in parts of Orange County, where they had over a foot. I had maybe 3 or 4 inches.
Right.
Meanwhile, there are other parts that had like a foot. And so, you get these like quirky kind of storms. And don't forget, also, we had a couple of days where we had those wild snow squalls that came on through.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
So, we'll
Cheap
see what happens
thrills.
this year.
Yeah, we'll have fun. So let's do a little Briller Jeopardy. Okay, so I don't have the answers to this because this is a new way he's doing it. So uh, he's going to give us the city. I'll give you the city, and you have to guess the date of the earliest measurable snowfall.
Okay.
Caribou, Maine.
The earliest measurable snowfall for Caribou, I'll say September 6th.
Okay. Albany.
But you don't have the
I
answers.
don't have the answers. The answers will come tomorrow night.
Well,
So,
I do hope all of you are taking notes then.
yes.
Albany. Well, considering that the earliest measurable snowfall, I think in New York City, was in like mid to early October. I'll say for Albany, I'll say September 25th.
Okay. Boston.
Boston, October 1st.
New York City, you just said. Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Well, Philadelphia, I'm wondering whether or not Philly had measurable snow. We mentioned this yesterday. In 1979, on October the 10th, there was snow in Baltimore during the World Series. I'm sure Philly must have gotten it too. Whether or not it measured anything more than a trace, so I'll say October 10th.
Um, okay. Um, Baltimore.
I'll say October 10th.
I'm sorry. Did I say Baltimore twice? No, I
No,
said Philadelphia, then
Philadelphia.
Baltimore. I know because I'm running.
I'm assuming the same snowfall that occurred in Philadelphia with possible measurable snow was
Okay,
also
I'm having. I had a senior moment there. That's why I was wondering. Atlantic City.
Frantic City.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, October 15th.
Washington D.C.
I'll say October 10th. Again, the same storm that affected Baltimore in 79.
Charleston, South Carolina.
Wow. Okay. And I actually remember I was working at News 12 Long Island. I think it was right around Christmas 1988 that they had significant, but that couldn't be the earliest. Um, I'll say, who would know would be David Ludlam, but he's been dead for 30 years now. uh,
He might be a tad tied up at the moment. Go on.
yes. All right. Charleston. How about, why don't we say November 10th?
Okay, and Syracuse.
Where? What?
Syracuse.
Oh, Syracuse.
Syracuse. Yeah.
Syracuse. Um, that's tricky for Syracuse. I'll say September. I'll say September 28th.
Okay, so I actually got Scott just gave me the link with the date. So here we go. Caribou, Maine, September 29th, 1991 was the earliest.
Okay.
Syracuse was October 1st, 1946.
Right.
Albany, October 4th, 1987. Charleston, South Carolina, October 19th, 1972.
October 19th?
Yep.
Wow.
Boston, October 10th, 1979.
Well, there's that
Okay.
magic date. Yeah.
Baltimore, October 10th, 1979.
79. Yeah.
Philadelphia, October 10th,
October 10th,
1979.
1979.
Washington, D.C.,
October
October
10th.
10th, 1979. Atlantic City, New Jersey, November 5th, 1973. And New York, October 21st, 1952. The earliest .01, I should say, not a trace, .01. So
Right. I think on October 9th, they had a trace of snow in New York. Or, yeah.
now I'm going to give you. I got one that I actually stumbled upon this today. But do you know whose birthday it was yesterday?
Yesterday was
Mm-hmm.
Bernie Sanders' birthday.
Who cares about Bernie Sanders? Stop.
Well, it's true. He was 79 years old.
Well, he's the same age as this person would have been, which is probably around 109 or 110. But yesterday was actor Frank Cady's birthday. Do you know who Frank Cady is?
Frank Cady was Mr. Drucker.
Correct. He also did a couple of Perry Mason episodes. He was in a number of notable movies, including Rear Window, although he doesn't have a speaking part in that, and also in The Bad Seed.
He also played Ferris, the butler, in the movie When Worlds Collide.
Yes. Right, and he wouldn't let the guy in the wheelchair. I forgot the actor that plays the guy in the wheelchair. He's
Ferris.
Yeah, he's one that shows up in a lot of television shows and in a lot of movies at the time, and he always played the sort of nasty, curmudgeon type. But
he made in Green Acres. There was an episode, and when he made me like laugh so hard. It was an episode where for whatever reason, Oliver and Lisa were outside looking up. They were outside the farmhouse or whatever, looking up, and all of a sudden Lisa says, "Oh, look! I just saw a shooting star." And Oliver, of course, Eddie Albert says, "No, not shooting star, shooting star." Well, in the good old country in Hungary, we called them shooting stars, and we used to see them on, right. The next day, Oliver Wendell Douglas, he goes to Mr. Drucker's store to get some seed or whatever like that, and
he said the shooting star.
Frank Cady says, "By the way, Mr. Douglas, were you out last night? Did you see that shooting star?"
They just used to.
Everybody in that episode, Mr. Haney.
Yeah, I know. They spent.
Mr. Kimball. They all said the same thing to Eddie Albert. Did you see that shooting star?
They used to just mind blank him all the time. But anyway, with regards to Frank Cady, okay, he actually
like 98 or whatever.
I think he would have been 100 and I think I saw it was 100. Would have been 105 or 110 or something like that. But. Yeah. There is a notable accomplishment that Frank Cady has that no other actor has ever accomplished and may never accomplish, given the way the world is these days. Or maybe somebody will do it, but he's got an accomplishment that stands out with regards to his work. Can you guess what that is?
Oh God!
When I tell you, you're gonna bang your head saying I should have known this because
the guy who played in It's a Wonderful Life, Uncle Billy, and I forget the actor's name who played Uncle Billy. That he was the first actor ever to win an Oscar and Emmy.
Thomas Mitchell.
Thomas Mitchell.
Right.
That's right. He won an Oscar, an Emmy, and I think a Tony or something. He was the first actor to do that. But obviously, it was not Frank Cady who did that either. I don't think.
No. It's not an award or anything, but he is the only actor ever to play a recurring character in 3 series all at the same time.
Oh, so he was on Petticoat Junction,
Right?
Green Acres,
Right?
and did he also make a few cameo appearances on the Beverly
Yep.
Hillbillies? Yeah,
Correct.
isn't that
Yeah. And
amazing? That's
I, I mean, when I read that, I said, yeah, I remember seeing him in all 3, but apparently that's the only time where somebody playing the same character has appeared as a recurring character slash semi regular in 3 series simultaneously.
and at the same time.
Yes, exactly,
I
exactly.
always I always said, when he was in his heyday and when the Waltons came along too, I said, wouldn't it be great if Sam Drucker could somehow meet up with Ike Godsey, Mr. Godsey from the Waltons,
Oh
who
God,
had
yes.
a general store in that show. They would be perfect for each other. They could merge and have Gotsey and Drucker, or Drucker and Gotsey, or whatever. That's
Let's acknowledge, by the way, Rena Bartow. Thank you very much, and I think Rena's new to the channel, and she hit super chat tonight. So thank you very much and welcome. Welcome aboard, and I hope you're enjoying. You're on the chat board, I think so. I'm hoping you're enjoying the show, and tell all your friends to come and watch the Joe and Joe weather show.
I love Rena's hippopotami.
Yes, 3 of them. Thank you
Yeah,
very much, Rita. Joe and I, very much appreciate you hitting super chat, as we do when anybody hits super chat. So,
yeah.
just trying to think. So it's coming up on 7:50 Eastern time. I think we can call it a night here. So, um, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll be back at 7 o'clock Eastern time right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show.
Yes, we'll be
Okay.
here.
All right. Have a good night.